Most people lose money in trading because they think they're right. I make money in trading because I know I'm wrong. My strategy assumes I'm wrong. I'm ignorant. How does that even make sense? Like, if you're wrong, how do you put it into a portfolio? That's how you got to develop a strategy and stick with it. I want to share an example, right? Today is 2024, like November. Back in 2022, 2 short years ago, we got out of the COVID and the stock market was up, and there were a lot of speculation on like a potential market crash, right? That was 2 years ago. Remember, everybody was talking about how the market was going to crash 2 years ago. Um, I was talking to a friend who's significantly more experienced in investment than me, and he gave me like we talked for hours, and he gave me this whole speech about like why commercial real estate, like interest rate, is gonna ruin the market. I actually believed him, right? I actually thought he made sense. I thought I was stupid. I would just kept buying. I always bought more and more. I never sell. That's kind of like a strategy of mine. I have a trading portfolio that I put some money in, but most of my money are in like a passive portfolio. I don't even take a look, and I just keep buying. But, you know, at that point, I thought he was right. I thought, he made so much sense. But, I just assume I'm wrong. I'll just keep sticking with my strategy. And, it turns out I actually did okay. But the more of the story is that, sometimes overconfidence can kill you. And most of the time, I think it's better if you just assume you're ignorant and you're making things out of pre-established strategies and um, not trying to time the market. I've really become the guy who's really committed myself to never predict the market because I know I'll be wrong. And one of my favorite quotes in trading is prepare and not predict. Like, I talk to some friends in technology, and everybody is interested in like, oh, I think this is going to happen. And I tell them, my opinion and your opinion are worthless, right? Because you have 10 million people here, you can have 10 million different opinions, but it doesn't mean anything. How can you react to each market catalyst? How can you know you are wrong and still make money from the market? It's actually trading, the principle is very easy. Buy low, sell high. Everybody knows that. But why is it difficult to do? First of all, most people might not be confident in what they're buying, right? So I think the most common mistake is panic sell. I never do. Like, I never do. If I buy something that it drops, I just think let it go to zero, right? I would rather let it go to zero than selling early because that's just stupid. If you made a wrong decision about an investment, I just let it write it out. Like, okay, I put this amount of money in here, but if I'm wrong, I might not put in more money in there, but I'm never selling at a loss. I'm never selling. Let it just go to zero. I'll hold the zero value stocks forever. And the second thing is, you know, profit taking, there are different theories, right? Like, um, if trading is your like main source of income, you know, um, you should definitely take profits because you need to make money, live off of it. But as I mentioned, I'm a swing trader. Like, I'm very busy. I don't spend a lot of time on trading at all. Like, I have a strategy. It's very easy to execute. I have single digit tickers. I don't have like a complicated like 20 ticker funds. And maybe once in a while when I know there were some big movements of prices, I may make some adjustments. Yeah, but overall, just do not time the market because you will be wrong because you are fighting against so much force. And I'm not saying you will never be right. Like, you can predict the market once or twice, but that's just not, I'm just not into the fortune telling business. I'm into energy, physics, the actual economy, actually the production, distribution, consumption of products and services. Like, I think about economy from the most fundamental perspective. And when you understand those things, you have the humility to understand it is impossible to predict the market. And the best you can do is look at the trends, like what people are doing, like have a reasonable argument, and always calibrate. Like, if your thesis is proven to be wrong, sometimes you gotta admit you were wrong and move on to a new strategy. So, for example, I do not. appreciate people who think they're more right than reality. For example, Peter Schiff or a lot of other fund managers. How can you be wrong for 20 years and still call yourself to be right? Ultimately, we only live once, right? If your investment strategy is right in 200 years, it doesn't matter because you're dead. You have to be able to make adjustments. If your strategy has been failing for 5 years, are you going to wait another 20? Maybe you're going to get rich in 20 years. What are we going to do in the next 10 years? So that's kind of like the frequency of investment. I have different frequency of investment as well. I have things like, okay, I want this to do well in the next 5 years. I want this investment to do well in the next 10 years. I want this investment to do well in the next 50 years. Bitcoin is definitely the investment I want to hold for the long term. I'm never selling any of it. I'm selling when it gets to like a million, maybe, but probably never, right? But I have other investment as well. Um, I look at the companies as product and services, and one of my personal strategy is I do buy stocks on things I consume, even like steakhouse or like supermarket or electronic store, whatever. Like if I spend money there, I buy the stock because ultimately, I discussed in a prior video. Right now, the stick dividends are paid in dollars, right? Because dollar is a very functional currency. But I want to own the businesses that actually produce these services. So if one day everything goes to dumpster fire, I can still own the production of these products that I might enjoy. If you have if you own stocks of McDonald's and there's economic downturn and dollar loses all of the value, you still own a part of the company and you might get some free meals from that, etc. With like Apple, Google, whatever. If you own a part of the company, you actually you are entitled for some services as a stockholder. Obviously, because otherwise the company nobody will buy their stuff anyway. So that is my mental revolution. How I came from sometimes on the time in the market to realizing and the humbling truth that preparation is much better than prediction.